Here we are at the end of the week where Donald Trump was booked and arraigned, facing this historic indictment. A government that he recently ran, taking him into custody, which we've never seen before. That's one of the reasons that people kind of go, whoa, how do I feel about this? Like, would this happen to a different former president? And what does it all mean? And what's the separation of powers? Donald Trump stands accused of crimes. He is the subject of a second criminal probe, also run by Jack Smith, which has gotten a little less attention lately, but that's the January 6th probe that presses forward. And in both of these cases, and one we now have a lot more window into because of the indictment, a lot more of a sense of how Jack Smith works, but in both times, Trump had more than one opportunity to just follow the law, to take the information, the warnings, the danger he was in, process it, and simply act lawfully. We have evidence that he could have avoided the criminal probes altogether, and certainly the classified document indictment, had he done that. So I want to show you something I mentioned. When you actually look at the timeline of the Mar-a-Lago case, you have Trump returning those 15 boxes to the archives. And that's what first exposed the problem of classified information in his possession. Then they go to the DOJ, the criminal referral. DOJ demands the missing documents back because they can tell that based on what they have, there's a classified problem and something's amiss. At that point, they're open to the solution of getting it all back. You have the subpoena, and Trump returns 38 documents, which he claims was all of it. Earlier tonight, I played you a Trump ally talking about full cooperation. That word all at the top of your screen is the goal. Had it been true, it would have been fully cooperative to the subpoena, but it wasn't, because you see things turn red down where you see Trump hides the other documents. And that was a key fork in the road. It was a lie when they said all were returned. And then you have the clues about that brazen act and that possible crime leading to the search, which was something of a national security jackpot. Think about them saying what you see on top earlier in the timeline, that all 38 docs was the whole story. And in fact, DOJ walks in and in one day finds more than double that, 102 other classified or secret documents found, which led to the charges this week. Trump could have given the documents back, but instead he kept them and kept insisting he didn't do anything wrong.
People have asked me why I had these boxes. Why did you want them? These boxes were containing all types of personal belongings. I have the right to take stuff. I have the right to look at stuff. I have the absolute right to do whatever I want with them. I have the right.
He didn't have the right to do that. In the eyes of the law, it would be no different than trying to steal military equipment or a helicopter and then say, hey, I used to be president, I used to have access to some of this. You don't have the right to steal it or to keep it. So if convicted, he could go to prison for exactly violating those laws, meaning not something he had a right to. Now, in the January 6th probe, there's been no charges on the Jack Smith case against anyone, including Donald Trump. But there was an effort to overturn an election. And the evidence, we've shown you this before, but it's pretty interesting now that we know how Smith works. The evidence, by our count, is at least 8 different plots to try to overthrow the election result. And this is our completed graph of it, again, in a timeline where you see some began legally, like the green arrow, to just file lawsuits. Any candidate can do that. Recruit electors, which you can do. But as the doors close over time, as you get into December, you see how Trump led a multifaceted conspiracy. The elector fraud, interfering with DOJ, trying to get Pence or Congress to overturn the certification on January 6th. And when that stuff didn't work, he also, of course, was part of the speech and the crowd and the entire fog of insurrection that led to the storming of the Capitol. So you have more than one plot. You have the zone where things turn red. And when you look at the items like the military seizing voting machines, that didn't actually happen. That's a description of an attempted plot. But when it failed, Trump then turned to sabotaging January 6th. That's why those 2 arrows at the bottom are sort of linked. They show a similar timeline. And what you see is, in that case, which Jack Smith is still probing, and the classified documents case, which Jack Smith indicted on, there is voluminous evidence time and time again that Donald Trump had a choice, was warned, was literally told, hey, this would be criminal or you can't do it, and he would continue down what Jack Smith has now indicted as the criminal path.